Aloha and welcome to Intuitive Talk Story with
Eila Allgood
and myself, Michal Anna. Thank you for joining us here today.
We're happy to be here and talk about what's up in the energy of our island and our world and our individual selves, and they're all interconnected. So Michal and I were just talking about some things that have been going on in our lives personally and recognizing that there's this kind of endless, working through personal, spiritual issues that we each have. We get to a new point, but then there's another layer and another place to go, and it isn't just done one day.
No, continual expansion, continual growth. Not unlike, I don't know if any of you have seen this, but there is a really cool, and I need to show you this, a really cool image of our solar system. And we thought of it as being flat, right? This circle, stationary circle, we're circling around a sun.
Yeah.
This imagery actually shows you the vortexing. We're really hurtling through space. And so that sun moving, and as it moves, it creates this spiraling vortex of the planets. So they're not all in one line. They're like spiraling around. So you see this vortex of spirals. So I think of that spiral because all of life is really this vortex of spirals, this vortex of the torus field that's constantly moving. All of the universe is filled with these spirals. You think of the Fibonacci sequence, you think of phi. These are the things all geometrically held in life. So like ourselves, we're on this spiral. We are forever in this spiral where it's not that you're like, oh God, I'm still gonna get over this one. I'm still working this out. No, you did get over that last one, but you went up a rung, and now there's new stuff to work out. And then you go up another rung, and there's new stuff to work out. And so it's just right now so very
it's potent,
and such an opportunity to really look at where you're at. Like, how am I moving through what's around me? And many people are in triggers. Many people are having very difficult times in themselves, not to mention, we're dealing with such a polarized reality outwardly, and that offers a huge opportunity to look at the self.
Yeah. Well, you say the word triggers, and I want to kind of say a little bit more about what that even means. To me, when you say triggers, it's something that might happen in your life or my life that triggers me in a way that maybe I don't want to be triggered. Maybe somebody says something to me, and I return a very sarcastic comment. And then I hear the words come out of my mouth, and then I'm like, geez, that's not really who I am or who I want to be. So what was that? And it was somebody did or said something that triggered me. And it's important that the more we are aware of our own self and our own actions and our own thoughts, the more we can recognize those moments.
Absolutely. And that's kind of really the whole name of the game, especially right now, because everyone's triggered. Everyone's triggered because there's a lot going on out there. And honestly, if you got a wound, it's going to be lightened up, because every wound is represented out there in the world right now. Whatever you haven't worked out, there's something for you. And that's kind of, I'm laughing, but I laugh because it's better than crying, right? You have to make things fun. You have to create the fun, because it is hard. All this stuff's not easy. Life's not easy. The whole journey it's one very intense story, long chapters of stories, and I think the best way to move through it is to adopt some positivity, right? That helps us get there. You're like, it's going to be a 3,000-mile hike. Wow, get your boots on and let's have a good time. If you know it's 3,000 miles, you're not going to oh, it's really going to be horrible.
Yeah.
Because then, boy, is it going to be long. So the more fun you can infuse in your journey, the more with more ease takes place, I think, in dealing with these kind of hard-nosed things like, oh, now I got to look at my triggers. Gee, that's no fun.
Well, and I think, so that's been really up for me is humor, infusing humor, just what you're talking about, finding the funny moments in the day. And sometimes when I cut my fingers this morning, when I was cutting up bananas, I cut my fingers and I was like, really? Like, what is that about? I'm in a good mood. I wasn't angry. Why did I cut my fingers? And I got curious and I laughed about it. I didn't get angry I just was looking for some humor in the moment. And the more you look for it, the more you will find it. And especially never to make fun of anybody else. It's really just about looking for some lightening up of these kind of intense moments that we're all either dealing with in the moment personally or globally or in the community. There's so much happening these days, and the more we can laugh a little bit, joke a little bit in a kind way, it really helps. Doesn't it totally shift your energy?
It really does.
Gosh.
It helps me a lot. I really love to meet things with humor. Some people don't. Some people are like, don't laugh at that. Or I'm serious. And that's not my way. But I think that seriousness, that's kind of the point of having the humor is like, well, let yourself laugh at yourself. For me is like, I'm going to laugh at myself because, oh gosh, I dropped the water. So what? I got to pick it up and clean it. It's not the end of the world. We can be really hard on ourselves, I think, in general, and that's part of the laughter of medicine is easing up how we treat ourselves, right? Like that's one way to laugh at yourself instead of beating yourself on the head, right? And that way you make light and you allow yourself the opportunity to learn. Like, okay, maybe I don't want to set my water on the edge of the desk. That's not maybe a smart move. It doesn't mean I'm stupid, doesn't mean anything's wrong, but I just learned a lesson. I'm going to learn it and move on. And kind of everything's as simple as that, but we usually tend to create a lot of emotional things to come with it. And if we could see it's just as simple as seeing what it is, understanding, learning, and moving forward, then we embody the next place.
Well, and laughing at yourself and not laughing at someone else. I mean, if someone is, and I think that's important because I grew up with my dad loved to joke around, and I loved that about him, that his energy would have that. But I asked him one time, how did you do that, or how did you come to be that way? And he said, you just have to be careful that you read the space properly and that you don't make it at somebody else. You don't laugh at someone else's expense. And that, and just to pay attention to your surroundings. So I think it's really important for all of us to look for that lightness, look for a way of laughing even when it's hard.
Completely, I agree. And yes, not laughing at somebody's expense. Like, we don't want to. That's not compassionate. The kind of the baseline is let's be kind and compassionate. Actually, my dad said this to me, and I've held him to it. Which is, he said, if we just choose to be kind to one another, it covers all the bases. And that's really true. Because if you're just kind to one another, if I'm being kind to you, then that means I'm listening. I'm going to listen to your thoughts, let you finish your sentence. If I'm being kind, I'm going to speak with a tone that exhibits kindness. So if we're being kind, then we're also not going to, be hurtful. So if we I try to, like, that's a simple way to just you go, let me just be kind. Let I walk in kindness. That's a really great goal.
Focus on that, regardless of whether we agree with one another or we like what someone else is doing or not doing, or if you stay out of all that judgment and you just go to, let me be kind to this person, let me be curious about what makes them tick, because we function so differently in the world.
Absolutely. None of us are having the same reality by any means. And if we can, I love that you said that word, curiosity. If we can move into curiosity, there's a lot of magic there, because when you're curious, you're no longer judging. you're just curious, just for the sake of knowledge, understanding, growth. And so to be in that state of curiosity, that's another great mantra. Like, let I be kind and curious today.
Yeah.
Right? So if I can walk in kindness, then I'm being open. Maybe I'm speaking slower. That helps me. I can tend to speak really fast.
Well, just us talking about kindness, I noticed the tones
change.
A little lower, a little softer.
Yeah.
A little more heartfelt.
I feel it
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
So see, we bring that energy in, and then we operate a little better from that place, and it empowers us to walk in our day. And if we're saying, between you get in your car to go to the next thing, same thing.
Yeah.
Let I walk in kindness and curiosity. You just speak in that a little bit, and you go, okay, that's where I'm walking. And then whatever you walk into, that's I'm in kindness and curiosity. Oh wow, you think this thing that's really outlandish to me? Wow, well, I'm so curious as to what that you thinking. Tell me more. I want to hear about it. Even if I totally disagree, I can just be in curiosity. And then I'm just learning, right? Because what's not fascinating about learning about your fellow human? We're actually all reflections of a great whole, right? So to offer that space is to allow learning so that real healing can take place. And I think that's what most of us want, is harmony, happiness, and healing with one another, and to live in a really supported environment. And it starts really with our kindness and curiosity.
Yeah, and I want to add to that the nature, being curious about nature and the moments that we experience in nature. I told you earlier that I was driving from Kauai High home today on the highway, and I thought it was smoke off to the right, and it was this big vortex of dirt crossing the road, and I was in its path. So the truck shook, and I was kind of startled by it. But as we're talking now, I'm like, I want to be curious about that. What was that on a physical level? But what was that about for me? And just to be curious. I might not get the answer, but I'm going to ask the question, and trust that if there's something there for me to know about, I'll receive it. And if not, that's okay too. But maybe someone listening says, oh, that happened to me, or this other thing happened to me. I hadn't thought about asking what that was, just asking the universe, what was that? How did that come to be? And what does that mean for me today?
Yes. Inquiry is all day long. Ask. All day long, really.
Yeah.
There's endless wisdom for us when we're hungry, when we want it, and when we're asking, then you learn, right? When the student is ready, the teacher appears. All of life is that way,
Yeah.
And it reminds me, I was telling Eila from myself, I had my own, I got my wallet lost/stolen, partially my own fault. And also, that's frustrating, right? Because you can beat yourself up. Darn, what was I thinking? And so I had to, kind of release that and go, no, don't go. You don't go there. We don't go there. Give thanks. And instead I went to gratitude instead of what I lost. Of course I was, first you're like, man. But then, I'm like, okay, let me just get into logic. What do I need to do? I need to cancel all these cards. I need to be aware what's in there, what needs to happen, and did all those steps. And then kind of just went, well, I could really spend a lot of lost time feeling bad right now and ruining my day. And I'm on the other side of the island, and that's beautiful.
With other things going on, right?
Yeah, with other things happening, not just, sitting in my little reality. And I could choose that, or I could choose to go, well, really, I'm so grateful that nothing more happened.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I am able to stop all my accounts and change things over. And yes, it's inconvenient. Yes, I have to go get a new license, which, we all know how horrible that is. But, these are small inconveniences on a grand scale. How grateful am I that I'm okay.
Yeah.
And then it's not the end of the world.
It's something that you can
remedy,
physically fix. And it's,
So the reminder there is just, I think a lot of times we're always, for each of our own reality, I have always kind of gone with this mantra, we're never given more than we can handle.
Yeah.
So for everyone, whatever you're given, you have what it takes to meet it. And if we can see that in the moment, like, I might push you to your edge, but I have what it takes in this moment to meet this. And if I can see that and choose to go into gratitude and like, okay, and even like, okay, I'm not going to beat myself up, humbling, forgiveness, compassion, back to that kindness and curiosity, even of self. And then we get to learn from these things, and we get to move forward with more gratitude. And gratitude is just fast moving, manifesting juju love.
Well, I find that when I'm in gratitude, I'm not able to be really angry or annoyed or frustrated. It's turning it around.
Yes.
And like you said about the wallet, what came to me as if it was stolen, you don't know really if you just dropped it somewhere or someone took it. Maybe somebody really needed something out of that.
Yeah.
And that they would be in such dire straits that they would have to resort to that. Makes me grateful that I'm not in that place where I would feel like I have to go take from someone else because I have nothing. I have no food to eat, or, you know what I mean? It's kind of looking at both sides of things that happen, or many sides. It's many faceted of things that happened, and finding the gratitude in there. And you were saying something about the people, some of the interactions you had after the wallet issue. Sometimes you wind up talking to people you wouldn't normally talk to or interact differently. And so there's those gifts and moments of gratitude in the craziest of experiences if we look for them.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I have kind of always been a silver lining person.
Yeah, me too. Like, that's why we hang out.
Right. Totally. Well, we come from the same cloth even. That's why
right.
It's ingrained.
That's right.
It is actually ingrained. So we do that. We silver lining. We find, like, what's the lesson? What's the, what are you learning from that?
There's something good in this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that really is, that's the morsels and the pearls. And if you can see, like, so for me, it's getting into this joyful fun that you're on a journey. Each one of us is on our own soul journey, and you're literally hurtling through space in a spiraled vortex. You yourself are a spiraled vortex. You're spiraling through your life lessons, your soul lessons on this long journey full of many, many chapters and many, many moments. And right here, right now, you have the opportunity to open your eyes and awaken on the leading edge of the universe of all of creation, because that's where we're sitting. So we have the opportunity to choose kindness, choose curiosity, walk through our day and expand and meet our lessons and grow from them to create more expansion, realizing we're never going to really arrive anywhere because, well, there's so far to go. I mean, meaning not that you aren't already perfect, because you're already perfect, but it's just continual expansion, because it's like the universe itself is expanding, right?
Yeah.
We're just in all of expansion from the beginning, just all of it expanding. In essence, the universe learning about itself. Mm-hmm. And that's what's actually so exciting and fascinating. And for me, if I bring myself into that really macro dynamic, let me just go way out there, and then I go, oh yeah, all this other stuff is like so small. And if I just remember the big picture, you just go, it's
right,
like
the big
amazing.
Picture. Yeah.
It's amazing, and it's a miracle to even have this moment.
Yeah.
And how much that just brings you into, well, let's be here now and do this.
Mm-hmm. Yes, let's be here now. You're listening to Intuitive Talk Story with Michal Anna and Eila. It's on KNKRLP 96.1 FM Kohala, and we're going to take a brief break.
Woman, sister, do you hear me? You are the giver of life. Your blood is...
This is Eila Allgood of Women's Voices. Tune in on Monday and Wednesday from 4 till 6 p.m. to listen to women from around the world, around Hawaii, songs with positive and empowering messages. on KNKR LP 96.1 FM, Monday and Wednesday, 4 to 6 p.m.
Your bones are the trees in the forest.
All right, we're back here with Intuitive Talk Story, and we're going to talk more about what's next. What's next, Michal?
We were just talking about being here now, being in gratitude, and shifting, especially when we brought in the beginning triggers, right? Which kind of, if you look around, back to that, the world is on fire. There's a lot going on out there. Yeah. So don't get involved with yourself emotionally. A lot of opportunity to get involved emotionally. What I'm seeing, if I look at media, social media, different people, I'm seeing a lot of people expressing deep emotion around what's happening. Of course, there's a lot happening. I understand. And I think it offers us really opportunities to be the Buddha. It offers you the opportunity to stand in the center. And I want you to think about this. So Darth Vader, right? We're Star Wars, classic story of good and evil. Most of us know this story. Star Wars, if you're familiar with Darth Vader, he is the great evil, right? The greatest evil. Luke Skywalker, his unknown son. The light, he's fighting as a Jedi. He's fighting his father, but he's fighting Darth Vader, the great evil. He's right in front of him. And what does Darth Vader say to him as he's fighting him? He says, Luke, yes, give in to your hate, Luke. Give in to your hate, yes. And why does he say that? Because if he gives in to his hate, he actually goes to the dark side, and Darth Vader wins. So we are in a grand psyop right now that's offering you the opportunity to look at thyself and choose love. Because if you find yourself feeling hate, disgust, the really rageful hate, that is living somewhere in you. And it can be released. It's not yours to keep. But whatever's out there is just activating it. And it is our opportunity to be a true Jedi and not give in to the hate or the fear, but to stand in love in front of the face of the demon that lies before you. To stand as a true Jedi and choose love. Choose the high road. Choose the road that takes you to expansion, elevation, enlightenment. And that is the opportunity we all have right now. Wow.
That's the Darth Vader story. I really appreciate that, because I feel like it's usually pretty easy for me to see the positive in things, like we were talking about, the silver lining. And yet, there are things that can trigger me, like just anybody. And I can go to a place of angry, of enraged, of not easily, but it can get triggered. And I think it's important to acknowledge it. It's that we don't want to dwell in it. I think that's the difference between feeling an emotion and then thinking about it all day and just feeding that emotion. So do you want to feed the love, or do you want to feed the hate? Do you want to feel feed the joy, that joyful moment? Or do you want to go to, oh, she did this and he did that, and just harp on something that either was negative or felt like it was hurtful? It just seems so much more valuable and very, very important right now for us to be putting our attention on the more positive sides of things, to say, okay, that happened, I'm angry, but I'm going to look for the blessings in it, I'm going to look for the gratitude in it, and move that energy, move into another area.
Yeah, and I think, there's the personal aspect, your day-to-day dealings with people in your life that offer these opportunities all the time. And then there's the greater story, right, which is a world stage, and much of that is most of us don't have any real tangible way of changing it. You can just feel frustrated, or you can feel like I want this, or that's wrong. But like you were saying, and we've spoken about so many times, and I hope it's ingrained by now, which is energy flows where attention goes. So if you are a divine, powerful creator, where do you want your energy to go? So if you see injustice in the world and you see something is wrong, are you going to think all day about that's wrong, that thing that shouldn't, we don't want this, we don't want this, we don't want this? The universe doesn't hear the we don't want. It just hears the thing. So you want to put forward what it is you want. So if we want freedom and equality, we want to put forward freedom and equality. We want to put forward love. We want change, and we want things that are going to empower us. And right now we're in a, obviously you can vote and do all these things on the external level, but I myself am a huge fan of prayer and the power of prayer and manifesting. And if you believe in manifesting on any level, if you believe in prayer on any level, then remember it works for all things. I heard someone the other day say, well, you're just going to pray? Well, that's okay if I'm just praying for this thing. That's great. Pray for me. Yeah. But if I say I'm praying when it comes to this, you think I'm being silly? Right. So is there some point where prayer no longer matters? Well, for me, it matters all the time. Let's use it. Let's use it every day. You see something wrong, speak it in the way you want it to be to the universe. Say, like you see an injustice, you can say, I see all of the people being treated equally in this world, and so it is.
Kindly,
you're putting out something energetically towards what we all want. If we all did that, we are literally creating and changing the game.
Right. So you brought up change, and you brought up I don't know, it left me already, but change, and to just ask for change, we need to be clear about what we're asking for in that change. Like if you're in a situation, say in your family life, and you don't like the way people are treating you, and you say, I want this to change, that's not really enough. You want to say what you want.
That's right.
You want to be out of the house. You want so-and-so to be kind to you. You want to be kind to whatever. You just need to get clear. And in my experience, many people find it far easier to say what they don't want, what kind of life they don't want, what kind of relationship they don't want, what kind of food they don't want, but rather focus on what one thing do you want? What do you want more of in your life? And it can be as complicated or as simple as you want it to be. You can just always go to love. I want more love in my life. I want to feel love for other people more. I want to feel loved by other people more. Well, that's, you could, that can take you for the next 10 years.
Well, and then the other trick to that is whatever it is you want, you get to be. If I want more love, I want more kindness, I get to be more kind. If I want to have more support, I get to be more supportive. If I want to be listened to more, I get to be a better listener. Yeah. So we have to be what it is we're asking for, and then that's how we then get to have it. I myself you've heard me say this before too, unattached and amused. I feel like, we tend to put so much on others, and that can be so debilitating in our growth. We wait for things like, well, my partner didn't do this. Well, I don't have a friend to go with. Well, nobody, on and on and on. And, you'll never get anywhere, honestly, because you can't wait for anyone. You can't wait for anyone. You literally just choose to evolve in yourself each and every day, no matter where you are. I'm going to get up and do this. I choose this. Oh, whatever. Your sister, your brother, whatever. You don't say, oh, well, they don't want to do it, so I didn't do it. No, okay, well, you don't feel like doing it. Well, I'm going to go out there and do it. This is what I'm doing. Right. And then you influence someone else to do it with you. Like as a teacher of children for many years and doing arts and dance, I don't make the kid, he's like, I don't want to do this. I don't make him do it. So great, go ahead and sit over there. Sit down, watch. And then we just continue having fun. Yeah. And literally within about 5 minutes, he's like, well, God, I want to get up. That looks like fun. I'm just sitting over here, not having any fun. Yeah. So it's like you want to realize yourself, allow people to realize, oh, it's more like their curiosity is more piqued. You will influence others more by being what you really want.
Right.
And then they get to go, well, gosh, that looks cool. Maybe I should do that too.
Right. I used to think about that years ago when I was going through some personal changes and thinking about, my own kids and how I wanted them. What did I want for them for their lives? And I thought, well, if I don't live true to me in my life, I can't expect they're going to be living true to themselves. They're going to probably do what they think I want or what society wants of them. And so it's really important that we are true to ourselves first and get to know who that person is through meditation, through walks in nature, through Qigong, through yoga, through
Swimming.
certain kinds of running, certain kinds of music, movement, whatever it is
Breathing.
What was that?
Breathing,
yeah. Whatever it is that helps you connect with you is what you want to be doing more of, and being very present with it. To sit in a meditation and be thinking about what you're going to make for breakfast later, you got to bring yourself back to that meditation. So you want to be totally present with whatever it is you are doing that helps you connect with yourself more deeply.
And kind of going back, reflecting back on that kindness and curiosity. If you just set yourself into like that energy, even start there. If meditation's already your thing, great, go further. But if this is all new to you, then you want to go like, okay, I can start there. I plant my feet on the ground. I choose kindness and curiosity. Okay, now even when I walk in the kitchen, I'm in kindness and curiosity. Oh, there's a crumb on the floor. I'm going to sweep it because I'm curious and I want things to be nice. Not like, oh, God, there's a crumb, right? Just meeting, kind of realizing, wow, I get to do this. That's another one. I change your language in yourself. Oh, I have to. We do that to ourselves. Oh, I have to go do this. Oh, I have to go blah, blah. Change your thoughts and speak it more. I get to water the plants.
Yeah.
I get to go hang out with Eila. Mm-hmm. I don't have to go do that. And so when we start choosing like that, you start empowering yourself that you're making choices, that you're actually in freedom. That's like a subtle way of teaching. You're showing that I am free and I'm making choices every day. And the more you empower yourself that I am a free sovereign being, guess what? The more free sovereign being you become.
Yeah, and when you were talking about language, that's such a thing to me, the whole what language we use. And some people get annoyed with me because when someone tells me something I should do, I'm working on not reacting. That's part of my lesson, is to not react and make them wrong, but to just reframe it in the way that works for me without the sarcasm. So if somebody says to me, you should get gas in the car, maybe I can, because that's not the way I like to look at things or use those words. It's like, it sounds like maybe we need some gas in the car. So that's just reframing. I'm not telling the other person to change how they speak, because let's face it, we can't do that, but we can change how we speak and the words that we use. And for me, should is just a word that it's a heavy, I can feel the heaviness of it. The have to and the should is some kind of a obligatory thing that it doesn't work for me. So get to know the words that work for you and notice how they affect your body when you hear them or say them.
My Grammy, God bless her, she is actually had surgery today for her back. She's 91.
Wow.
And I don't know. She's going to be great. So we're sending her prayers. Send her prayers, please. And so she's doing well. But she used to say, we would say to her, don't should on us. Don't shit on me, Graham, because it's all the time shoulda, woulda, coulda.
Yeah.
Well, if you would have brought the thing, not only you shoulda, but you should do something, but you should have done something.
In the past,
where you have no place to change it. Well, if you would have done this, you coulda, blah, blah. Right. And you're like, oh, does this help anyone, or does it just make you right? It just makes you, well, you should have listened to me, right? Kind of energy. And so we joke about it with her. But that's so true, because it's really dampening energy. It makes you feel like, well, aren't I an idiot? Well, thanks a lot.
Yeah, especially
I
the
guess
should have yesterday. You should have done that.
Well, nothing I can do about it now.
Right.
So we don't want to do that to one another.
Right.
And so it's good to just recognize, do I do that? Oh, do we do that to one another? Let's stop that. It's just a good, just a
another awareness.
Another awareness,
yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, in how you communicate, how you talk to other people, but you're also talking to yourself that way. If you say that to someone else, you're saying it to you, and that's not being kind. If you're criticizing.
Well, you bring up a good point.
Go ahead.
Which is everything is about ourselves.
It's all about
me. You. And so really anything you do is how you treat yourself. Mm-hmm. If you're volatile and angry with someone else, you probably do that with yourself. You're probably really hard on yourself, right? Mm-hmm. So the internal dialogue is always way worse than the external, like what goes on outside of us. Mm-hmm. So that's why we want to go back to the only game in town is go within and get real with your inner child. And have some fun recognizing what's really going down. And that was what we brought up in the beginning, the triggers. If you've listened to previous shows, we've kind of talked about inner child stuff and getting deeper into those things. And I'll mention now, if you're interested in doing more of that work or learning more about these things, you can check out my YouTube channel, Michal Anna, MICHAL space ANNA. And there are a number of meditations that go into these things, and more talks from Eila and myself, and more. So, because there's a lot to those kind of things, triggers. But pulling away the layers is really the name of the game. So we can all be in our brilliance and come to the table without our filters being triggered and without us feeling hurt or offended or betrayed and all sit at the table really loving ourselves and therefore able to love one another. And then we can talk about anything and we can solve it because our emotions aren't wrapped up in it. We're not hurt, we're not wounded, and so we can actually create solutions. And that's really, to me, the goal is let's all work, all of us as a humanity. I implore us all to work through our wounding, our trauma, release all of those things that keep you operating or activating in a way you don't want to really activate or operate. And so that we can all be truly free to embody who we really are meant to be, embodying your gifts, honoring one another, coming to the table to really co-create a blessed, harmonious earth reality.
Which is a never-ending process. So we may get to the table and everything's really smooth and cool for a while, but then things may bubble up. Yeah.
Back to the vortex.
Spiraling
vortex through the universe. It doesn't mean it's all dandy, right? You never arrive. There's just new things. Like I was telling Eila earlier, when I was younger, just brushing your teeth and washing my face and doing my face regime was a bit I hated doing it. Yeah. But I honestly hated myself more too. I did, the more I've loved myself, the easier really simple things became. Right? So nowadays, those things aren't hard. I have no problem doing all my basic things to love myself and care for myself. There become other challenges. And so it's kind of as we go along the spiral, we conquer something, we master it, and those become part of our new reality. Then there's new things we get to embody and go, oh, I get to learn about all this. And then we bring those, we practice it, and then we implement that into reality. And then we continue along that spiral, ever moving upwards, ever moving along it, embodying more things that become part of your clockwork, and then embracing new things. And continual expansion.
I think if any of us think back to a time when we were younger, whether it's 5 years ago or 40 years ago, and if you can even imagine who you were then, you would recognize how much you have grown and changed and evolved. And I think it's really important for us to honor who we are today without what Michal and I are talking about is this kind of regular evolution without criticism, though, without criticizing who we were last year when we, got mad at somebody, or to just say, I am doing the best I can today, and I'm going to continue to work at this to do better, to be kinder to myself and kinder to other people. to make the world a better place. What is it that motivates you to really take care of yourself? Like what motivates you now? Like you're talking about facial care and teeth care. And what motivates you to do things for you now?
Well, those things I don't think about so much. Is just I want to stay. I guess it's just that I want to be alive in the body and be present here, and I want this vessel to last as long as possible.
So your foods and your movements.
Yeah, it's kind of like, how do you make this thing work the best that it can? Like, what do you give it? It's more like, I guess I think of it more like a car.
Yeah.
Like, what do I give this to keep it running the best way and maintain it? What's going to make the brain work faster? What kind of things are going to make, because there's so much we can do with this vessel. And, as a dancer and a mover, right? I mean, I love exploring pushing the limits, pushing how you can move and the subtleties of movement and the subtleties of isolation.
Of how your body works.
And how your body works. And as a massage therapist and energy healer, I'm immersed in the body. I love it.
Yeah.
And energy, the body, mind, spirit, the whole thing. And the body, it's fascinating. And I mean, that's a whole series. But yeah, I think what motivates me more than anything, I had this conversation with someone yesterday, because I'm working with a number of people right now who are kind of working through the dark night of the soul.
Yeah.
And I was really deepening into what has really been the most intense motivator for me throughout my whole journey to get right where I'm at and to move through all these very dark, deep places, because it is a lot. It's not an easy journey. And honestly, for me, it's faith. I know not everyone has that. That's not something everybody has. It's a gift. It really is. And if you have the gift of faith, use it. I feel like that's really, I have always had faith that there was more, that there was greater, that I was part of something beyond myself. I always had faith that there was to seek knowledge, and I had faith I would be protected, that no matter what, the Lord, God had me. I've always felt that I was a child of God, that I was a child of the infinite. And in some of the darkest and hardest moments, I have always relied on that. I may have shared this before, but there's a scripture for me that's been, one of the scriptures that's helped so many times in my life. But the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. And so for me, when faith, the fact that I have this relationship with the infinite in some form, and that's of course so personal to us all what that even means, but for me that has motivated me. It has given me the strength, the courage, the determination, the whatever I needed to keep going and striving to push through my own boundaries of my own resistance, my own places where you want to hide and go back and don't want to do it, and push through those multiple ego deaths, to die to the self and push through another resistance. And that's really just my it's the faith and love of God. And that for me is the motivator, that I'm committed first and foremost, and really have been since I got here since a child. I'm committed first and foremost to God, to the path of the higher path, and everything else has come second. Because to me, even, relationshiping, everything is, if you and I are both looking forward towards where we want to go, and we're both committed to doing the work of our own divine making to be the highest being we can be, then we will succeed, because then I'll look over and we'll be standing next to each other still. But if we're staring at one another, then inevitably you will fail, because you're...
Oh, that's a really good point. It's really about being who you are in your space. And if you're in a relationship, and that person being who they are in their space, and to be committed to doing that kind of personal work and the relationship work, but not so focused on the relationship, which so many of us have done, so focused on the relationship and making that whatever you think it's supposed to be, that you kind of lose who you are, and maybe that person loses who they are. And this could be a partnership, it could be a parent-child, it could be
any
close friends. It doesn't matter. But yeah, if you're so focused on the relationship and what it should be, or you think it's supposed to be, or what that person says it's supposed to be, then we lose ourselves. I think that's where that term kind of comes from, is, losing yourself in the relationship because you're not taking care of you and doing what you need to do to move through your life. And when you were talking about faith, a word that came up for me that has been really important to me for the past a lot of years is trust. Part of faith for me is trust. To trust that there is a bigger plan, that there is a purpose for the dirt devil that went through my car today on the highway. That I just trust that I'm where I'm supposed to be, and that it's all good. It's okay right now.
Yes, and that's big. Imagine if all of us really get into trust and giving thanks and feeling like we're all going to be taken care of, and if we're all really resonating in that energy and we're all praying from our hearts, speaking that out loud, and we're all saying, I want to walk with kindness and curiosity. Now imagine that world. And maybe spend 10 minutes, 15 minutes every day imagining that world.
Absolutely. Well, I'd like to share a story before we take our next station break. The other night I have cats, and the cats tend to wake me up multiple times each night. And I've been looking for the positive of getting woken up, so I go outside to feed them outside, and the stars are usually pretty spectacular here. So I'm like, okay, all right, it's beautiful. I get it. I'm tired, but it's okay. I feed the cat and I go back to bed. This one night, it was just the other night, we're having a lot of rain, and I could see that it was very wet outside. I went out, and the cat's name is Rain, and I'm feeding Rain his food, and I just glance up, and there before me is this humongous lunar rainbow, and my cat's names are Rain and Bo, and I was feeding the cats and seeing this, and I haven't seen one at our property since we moved there, so it's probably 10 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was a big deal, and I kind of gasped, and tears came to my eyes, and I'm like, thank you, kitties. So if I didn't look up, and I say that physically I was looking up, but if I wasn't willing to look beyond what I was dealing with right there with being woken up in the cat, and if I didn't look beyond that, I would have missed it. So
so potent.
Yeah.
What you just said, if I didn't look beyond that, I would have missed it.
Yeah.
I just want to put a little hint out there. There's a lot going on, and if you don't look beyond, you're going to miss it, because it ain't really easy to see. There's a whole lot happening. There's a few, for any of you who are actually interested in deep diving into any of that kind of stuff, a really cool guy that I've stumbled across, a researcher, Egyptologist. He has decoded the Sumerian tablets, the emerald tablets. Fascinating stuff about our origins as a species. If you are familiar with Zecharia Sitchin or any of those works out there, you will be fascinated and want to know about this brother. He's got a channel called forbiddenknowledge.com, which takes you to forbiddenknowledge.tv with the number 4, forbiddenknowledge.com. Check him out, Billy Carson. He's got family, a family fun for everyone, documentary style programming, and you can subscribe and pay for his stuff and all that. But he is really interesting, and just right now there's so much going on that is can be frustrating to be thinking about in the news and this and that.
Yeah.
So if you want to expand your mind and put your energy elsewhere, think about something like that. Here's another out there concept to just go, whoa, hollow earth.
Yeah.
Hello.
There's a lot of
hollow earth theory.
There's a lot of interesting things.
There's interesting things you can explore that will take your mind elsewhere instead of dredging on things that may not do you any good, right?
Yeah, and maybe we can mention a couple more when we come back from our break.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Aloha, North Kohala. Even though our restaurant is closing its doors, Sushi Rock will be hosting their weekly food drive this Wednesday, October 7th. Thanks to the generosity of our landlord, we will still be able to help provide food for the Kohala community. Pickup will be drive-through only on Akone-Puli Highway next to the Sushi Rock Lanai at 4:30 p.m. Please wear a mask. If you or anyone you know needs groceries, please send them our way this week. We want to thank all our donors and volunteers for making all this happen. Remember, we're all in this together. Mahalo.
Here we go.
Coconuts, it's your time to shine. Thanks to Typhoon Mary's practically virtual home open mic kit. You can flatten the curve from your living room, treehouse, or Zendo. Tuesday mornings live. Sing back up, do choreo, taste the freaking rainbow. It's the Cosmic Cowgirl. Back by lukewarm demand from Typhoon Mary's rooftop surf shack and social distancing oasis. Pull up a stump, tump over a wash tub, stomp your foot, and bang along to all the Americana weekends squeeze in from 8 to 11 Hawaii Standard Time at 96.1 FM in Kohala and streaming everywhere on knkr.org.
Well, we're back here at KNKR, and you're listening to Eila and Michal Anna talk about all kinds of things on Intuitive Talk Story, and we only have a few minutes left. Let's see, about 7 minutes. So when we were talking before, you were bringing up some things on YouTube. You want to say something?
Well,
resource?
Sure. It was kind of just offering other resources other than politics or any of those things that are just so obviously alive right now. Of course, my channel, Michal Anna, for doing your own spiritual work, meditations, etc. But also, education-wise, Gaia, if you're not familiar with them, Gaia, they have amazing programming, all kinds of different stuff. But one series that I do know of that they have is a guy, Matteo Stefano, and it's, I believe it's called Creation of the Universe, but it's fascinating, and it goes through every dimension. And if you're not familiar, like, it's 12 dimensions.
Yeah.
We're sitting in the 3rd/4th,
Yeah.
moving into 5th. So it's really fascinating stuff. And then the Billy Carson stuff, which is the forbiddenknowledge.com. And these are just some interesting things to kind of make you expand your mind and kind of get out of our own way. Because the other part that I think is really important is we get attached to what we think we know, and we think we know that stuff. Oh, yeah, I know that. I learned that.
Yeah.
But we often miss things because actually we don't really know a lot. And the many things that we've been told or taught really aren't the way they are. So it's, if we're willing to go, wait, maybe I don't really know, then again,
Curious.
back to curiosity.
Yeah.
We create curiosity. If we can do that about everything and kind of go approach everything like you don't really know, because you might learn, even if the person tells you everything you knew, but they tell you one other thing, you just learned something new. So kind of if we keep that openness to the life, we get to uncover that the universe is maybe not what we thought, that, you know, all of it's not really what you thought, and then you get to actually create and see it in a different way. And we can only do that if we allow ourselves the opportunity, well, to be wrong, right? We have to be able to be wrong,
Yeah.
and to be flexible and to be adaptable. And I think that's really important right now. Adaptability, flexibility, being able to change our minds and perceive and look at things from different angles, which brings us into that.
Well, and that's perception. And somebody I used to be close with years ago used to say, only a fool doesn't change their mind. So, and I like that because it makes me more open to changing my mind and changing my perspective. I wanted to say Gaia, for those of you who don't know what it is, it's spelled Gaia. And you can find it on the internet really easy. I've watched a lot of their stuff. Sometimes it just, rather than saying it's too far out, I'll just say it didn't resonate for me.
Yeah,
so find out what
know.
resonates for you.
That's
if you're
right.
attracted to a title or somebody's face on the video, then just watch it and see. Be curious.
And that brings up an interesting point that many things can be true at one time, because there's a lot of realities happening. Like there's a whole reality, for instance, with gaming, like underground video games and Dungeons and Dragons and all these kind of things that I'm not a part of at all, never have been. But there's a whole world and there's a whole thing going on that is true about those things. And so I guess I'm just trying to say is many realities exist at once.
Yeah.
So even though that's not our reality, we don't need to judge or anything. We can just go, oh, that's just not my gig. Like, that's not my gig, but that's great. That's your thing. Whatever. And so if we get a little more, I think we tend to, that comes into an attachment, like getting a little more unattached about stuff and maybe accepting what I am, what I do like, and you like something different, and that's okay.
And to be curious
about what you like.
And because you brought up video gaming, I have a son who does that, and he does commentating on Twitch for video games. Like, this is like a foreign language to me.
Right.
I have no idea what he's talking about, but I watch it. Curious. I'm just curious. What is this? It's like this whole other world. And it expands me because I'm thinking about something that I don't need to totally understand it, but I am curious about what is that and what is that about? And it just feels like another reality. There's just all these other realities out there.
And and if you do look at the whole spectrum of what's going on in the world, I think there's a lot of misperceptions about what people are thinking. A lot of people are, back to that Darth Vader story, don't find yourself with hate, anger, or judgment, because that's not going to get you anywhere good. And so if we can go back to that curiosity and try to understand one another and see what is really going on for people. And really, I want to really say, I hold the belief that we love as a humanity more than we hate.
Yeah.
And that we actually love one another and hold one another as equal beings, and that most people, I don't know people who are really like that, who are hateful. Really, I know a lot of really amazing people, and I'm sure you do too. So let's hold the energy together that we love as a people, that we actually are together in, regardless of class, color, creed, economy, whatever, that we are together. And if more of us embody that energy and just hold it in our field, we are, once again, shifting the energy, and we can choose unity versus division. We all know this thing: united we stand, divided we fall. We all know this, and so we have to get into the center and united as a humanity.
Right.
As humanity.
Well, and coming from, as we get ready here to conclude, coming from the place of kindness and curiosity, and going to that place of love and unity. So maybe those are the 4 words we can leave with everybody today. Kindness and curiosity, first about yourself, and then about those around you, and love and unity. Love first for yourself, unity within yourself, and then out to those around you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So have a beautiful, beautiful, blessed day.
Thank you for tuning in and listening to Intuitive Talk Story. This has been Eila Allgood and
Michal Anna.
And we'll be back in another month.
Yes. And catch us in the meantime on any of those forums.
Yes, Spotify,
Talk Story episodes are on there in the podcast.
Yep.
And, of course, the meditation channel, and EilaAllgood.com.
Aloha, everybody.